Admiral Kate Morrison stood at the command center of Titan's Edge, Earth's most advanced orbital defense station. Her eyes were fixed on the main display screen that showed space around Earth. The screen showed hundreds of red dots moving toward their planet. Each red dot was an enemy ship from the Zephyrian Empire. Kate had been in the military for 25 years, but she had never seen anything like this before. "Admiral, we count 300 enemy ships," said Lieutenant Commander Jake Sullivan from his position at the communications console. His voice was steady, but Kate could hear the worry underneath. "Earth Defense Command is ordering all our ships to pull back to the inner system." Kate nodded but kept watching the screen. Earth's entire space fleet had only 47 ships. The enemy had more than 6 times that number. Intelligence reports said each Zephyrian ship was also much more powerful than anything humans had built. The math was simple and terrifying. Humanity was about to lose this war before it really started. "Ma'am, I'm getting some strange readings," called Chief Petty Officer Lisa Chang from the sensor station. She was running check after check on her equipment. "There's a big energy signature showing up on long-range sensors, but it doesn't match anything in our database." Kate walked over to Lisa's station. The young officer had been working with sensors for 8 years and knew her equipment better than anyone. If Lisa said something was strange, then something was definitely wrong. "What kind of energy signature?" Kate asked. "It's huge, Admiral. Bigger than anything we've ever built. But it's also weird. The readings keep changing, like the thing is there and not there at the same time," Lisa explained while pointing at her screen. Captain Ryan Torres, Kate's tactical officer, looked up from his own console. "Admiral, visual contact with the unknown energy source." The main screen changed to show a section of space between Earth's retreating fleet and the advancing enemy ships. At first, Kate saw nothing but stars. Then something began to appear. It looked like a ghost ship made of light and shadow. The outline was faint, but clearly showed a massive warship. It was longer than 3 kilometers and covered with weapon systems that Kate had never seen before. "What in hell is that thing?" Ryan muttered. The ghost ship moved with purpose. It positioned itself directly between the human fleet and the Zephyrian armada. As it moved into position, its outline became a little more solid. Energy readings on every instrument in the station began to spike. Dr. Amy Peterson, the station's chief science officer, was already running analysis on the phenomenon. She had worked with experimental physics for 15 years and specialized in quantum mechanics. Her face showed both amazement and confusion as she read her instruments. "Admiral, this should be impossible," Amy said. "The ship appears to be some kind of quantum projection. It exists and doesn't exist at the same time. The energy patterns match theoretical designs from Project Excalibur." Kate felt her blood turn cold. Project Excalibur had been humanity's most ambitious warship project. The design called for a massive dreadnought that would have changed space warfare forever. But the project had been canceled 20 years ago because of cost and political problems. Not a single piece of the ship had ever been built. "Admiral, the unknown vessel is sending us a communication," Jake announced from his station. "Put it on screen," Kate ordered. The main display flickered and then showed a man's face. Kate recognized him immediately and her heart nearly stopped. Commander Alex Stone looked exactly as he had 20 years ago, when he died during test flights for Project Excalibur's experimental engine system. He should have been dead. He was dead. Kate had attended his funeral. "Admiral Morrison," Alex said. His voice sounded real and carried clearly across the bridge. "This is the USS Liberty reporting for duty." Kate felt the deck plates under her feet begin to vibrate. Something impossible was happening. The ghost ship was powering up weapons that existed only in computer files. It was drawing energy from sources that shouldn't exist. "Admiral," Dr. Peterson whispered, "I'm reading massive quantum fluctuations around that ship. It's like reality itself is being changed. The vessel appears to be manifesting through some kind of collective consciousness. Our shared belief in what that ship could have been is somehow making it real." On the tactical display, the Zephyrian fleet had noticed the strange new arrival. Their ships were changing formation and beginning to charge their weapons. They were preparing to test this new threat. The image of Commander Stone turned to look at the tactical situation. "Zephyrians always think humans are weak because we build slowly. Today they learned that human dreams can be stronger than their nightmares." The USS Liberty began to move forward. Its ghostly hull cut through space with impossible grace. As it moved toward the enemy fleet, other ships began to appear. More ghost vessels were materializing from nothing. Each one was a design that had been canceled or never built. They were prototypes and theoretical ships from humanity's military files. Each ship was born from the will of people who believed in human potential. Lieutenant Colonel Dana Wright was watching from Earth Defense Command. She could see the impossible battle beginning on her screens. Ships that existed only in computer files were moving to engage real enemy vessels. The USS Thunderbolt appeared with a full squadron of fighter craft. It had been a canceled bomber design that never made it past the planning stage. "Colonel," called Sergeant Ben Murphy from the tracking station. "We're reading confirmed hits on Zephyrian ships. These ghost ships are actually causing real damage to the enemy fleet." Back on Titan's Edge, Kate watched in amazement as humanity's unbuilt fleet took battle positions. Each phantom vessel moved with purpose and skill. Their crews seemed to be composed of the men and women who had worked on the original projects before they were canceled. "All stations, this is Liberty," came Alex's voice over the communication system. "Engage the enemy. Show them what human engineering can do when it's not held back by budgets and politics." The first shots of the battle lit up space. Energy beams from the ghost ship struck Zephyrian vessels with devastating effect. The alien ships returned fire, but their weapons seemed to have trouble targeting enemies that existed in quantum uncertainty. Dr. Peterson continued her analysis while the battle raged. "Admiral, near as I can tell, the threat to Earth activated some kind of resonance effect. The collective unconscious of humanity is manifesting our dreams of protection as actual ships. It's like the universe is responding to our need." Kate watched as more impossible ships joined the fight. The USS Horizon materialized with advanced sensors that revealed weak points in enemy formations. The USS Vanguard appeared and began striking from angles that should have been impossible. Each ship fought with the desperation of dreams that had been denied their chance to exist. The Zephyrian fleet was beginning to take real losses. Several of their ships had been destroyed or badly damaged. Their perfect formation was breaking apart as they tried to fight an enemy that defied everything they knew about physics and warfare. Kate realized she was witnessing something that would change humanity forever. The power to make dreams real was something no enemy could plan for or defend against. The ghost ship USS Liberty moved through space like a predator hunting its prey. Commander Alex Stone's image flickered on the main screen of Titan's Edge as he coordinated the impossible battle. His face showed the same determination Kate Morrison remembered from 20 years ago when he was alive. "Liberty to all phantom vessels," Alex's voice carried across space. "Form attack pattern Delta. Show these aliens what Project Excalibur was really designed to do." More ghost ships continued to appear around the Liberty. The USS Defender materialized with heavy armor plating that had never been manufactured. The USS Strikeforce emerged with weapon systems that existed only in theoretical blueprints. Each vessel was crewed by the spirits of engineers and designers who had poured their hearts into projects that were never completed. Dr. Amy Peterson worked frantically at her science station, trying to understand what was happening. Her instruments showed readings that broke every law of physics she knew. "Admiral, the quantum field around these ships is unlike anything in our textbooks. They're drawing power from human collective consciousness itself." Chief Petty Officer Lisa Chang monitored the energy signatures of the Phantom Fleet. "Ma'am, each time a new ship appears, I'm detecting massive spikes in brainwave activity from Earth's population. It's like everyone on the planet is dreaming the same dream at the same time." Captain Ryan Torres pulled up tactical data on his screen. The Zephyrian fleet was clearly confused by their new opponents. "Admiral, the aliens are having trouble targeting the ghost ships. Their weapons keep missing or passing right through them." On the USS Liberty, Chief Engineer Zoe Parker appeared at her station. She had died in the same accident that killed Alex Stone, but now she moved her hands over control panels that existed between dream and reality. "Alex, I've got the quantum resonance drive online. We can tap into the belief energy of every human who ever looked at the stars and wanted to protect their home." The Phantom engineer began routing power through systems that had never been built but worked perfectly in the realm of human imagination. Energy flowed through conduits made of pure possibility and hope. Weapons charged with the accumulated dreams of 1,000 canceled military projects. Admiral Kate Morrison watched the impossible battle unfold before her eyes. The Zephyrian ships were massive and powerful, but they were fighting an enemy that operated outside normal reality. How do you destroy a ship that exists because people believe it should exist? "Dr. Peterson, how long can this continue?" Kate asked. Amy looked up from her instruments with wonder and fear in her eyes. I don't know, Admiral. The phenomenon seems to be self-sustaining as long as humans continue to believe in these ships. But the energy requirements are enormous. I'm not sure reality can handle this kind of stress for very long. The battle intensified as more Phantom vessels joined the fight. The USS Thunder appeared with experimental lightning weapons that had been deemed too dangerous to build. The USS Shield manifested with defensive systems that could protect entire fleets. Each ship brought capabilities that humanity had dreamed of, but never achieved. Colonel Pete Adams materialized in the cockpit of a ghost fighter launched from the USS Thunderbolt. He had been the chief test pilot for the fighter program before it was canceled. Now he led a squadron of pilots who had all died in various test accidents over the years. They flew with skill that came from pure knowledge unencumbered by physical limitations. "Liberty, this is Ghost Squadron." Pete's voice came over the communication system. "We're engaging enemy fighters. These Zephyrian pilots don't know what hit them." The ghost fighters moved through space with impossible agility. They could phase through enemy fire and strike from angles that defied physics. Pete's squadron tore through the Zephyrian fighter screen like they were standing still. Back on Earth, billions of people watched the battle through emergency broadcasts. In research facilities around the world, scientists and engineers who had worked on canceled projects began to remember their designs. They started to hope that their work could still matter. Engineer Marcus Wells sat in his retirement home watching the news coverage. He had designed the Liberty's theoretical armor plating 20 years ago. On his television screen, he could see his armor deflecting Zephyrian particle beams exactly as he had calculated it would. Tears streamed down his face as he watched his life's work finally come to life. Professor Helen Cruz watched from her university office as the USS Horizon used quantum tunneling drives based on her theoretical work. The academic community had dismissed her equations as impossible, but now they were allowing a starship to phase through enemy formations like a ghost. The Zephyrian Admiral Keith far struggled to understand what his fleet was fighting. His tactical computers could not analyze enemies that existed outside natural law. All ships concentrate fire on the largest Phantom vessel. If we can destroy their flagship, perhaps the others will disappear. The alien fleet focused their attack on the USS Liberty. Hundreds of energy beams converged on the ghost ship's position. For a moment it seemed like the Phantom vessel might be overwhelmed. Its outline flickered and began to fade. But then something remarkable happened. People all over Earth saw their defender being attacked. Millions of humans focused their thoughts on the Liberty, willing it to survive. The collective belief of humanity poured into the quantum field around the ship. The USS Liberty blazed with new energy. Its outline solidified until it looked almost real. The ship's weapons charged to levels that exceeded all theoretical limits. Commander Stone's image appeared more solid than before. "Thank you, Earth," Alex said quietly. "We feel your faith in us. Now watch us earn it." The Liberty opened fire with everything it had. Energy beams that contained the hopes and dreams of an entire species struck the Zephyrian flagship. The alien vessel's shields failed instantly. Secondary explosions tore through its hull as impossible weapons found every weak point. Dr. Peterson stared at her readings in amazement. "Admiral, the Liberty is operating at 300% of its theoretical capacity. Human belief is literally rewriting the laws of physics around these ships." More Phantom vessels continued to appear as Earth's population embraced the impossible. The USS Justice materialized with peacekeeping systems that jammed enemy communications. The USS Vengeance emerged with weapons designed for pure destruction. Each ship was born from a different aspect of human military dreams. The Zephyrian fleet began to retreat. Their perfect formations broke apart as ships fled from enemies they could not understand or defeat. Admiral Kethvar watched his invasion force crumble before opponents that should not exist. "How do we fight dreams made real?" he asked his tactical officer. The Phantom fleet pursued the retreating aliens with relentless determination. These ships had waited 20 years for their chance to protect humanity. They would not waste this opportunity to prove that human imagination was the greatest weapon in the universe. The space around Earth became a battlefield unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Phantom ships fought with the fury of dreams that had been denied their chance to exist. Each ghost vessel carried the hopes of engineers who had watched their projects die in budget meetings and political debates. Admiral Kate Morrison studied the tactical display from Titan's edge. The Zephyrian fleet was clearly struggling against enemies that operated outside their understanding of warfare. Captain Torres, give me a damage assessment on the enemy fleet. Ryan checked his instruments and shook his head in amazement. Admiral, we're reading 43 Zephyrian ships destroyed or disabled. That's more damage than our entire real fleet could have caused. The USS Liberty led the Phantom Armada with Commander Alex Stone coordinating the attack. His ghost crew worked at stations that existed in the space between imagination and reality. Chief Engineer Zoe Parker rerouted power through conduits made of crystallized human determination. Alex, I'm reading massive energy buildups in the quantum field, Zoe reported. The collective belief supporting us is growing stronger. More people on Earth are focusing their thoughts on our mission. Dr. Amy Peterson monitored the phenomenon from her science station. The readings on her instruments continued to break every rule of physics she had studied. Admiral, I'm detecting something remarkable. The Phantom ships are becoming more solid as the battle continues. Human belief is literally forcing them into our reality. On Earth, the battle was being broadcast to every corner of the planet. People gathered around televisions and computer screens to watch humanity's impossible defenders fight for their survival. In laboratories and design centers, engineers pulled out old blueprints and remembered projects they thought were forgotten forever. Dr. Robert Kim sat in his office at the Seoul Space Technology Institute. He had designed the theoretical sensors for the USS Horizon before the project was canceled. Now he watched his creation phase through Zephyrian formations, while gathering intelligence that no real ship could obtain. His sensor arrays revealed weak points in enemy hull designs and predicted their movement patterns with perfect accuracy. Colonel Sarah Martinez monitored the battle from the Pentagon. She had been the project manager for the canceled USS Defender program. Her ship now served as the Phantom Fleet's shield, protecting damaged vessels while they regenerated their quantum coherence. The defensive systems she had designed in theory were saving lives in practice. The Zephyrian Admiral Kethvar struggled to adapt his tactics to fight an enemy that defied logic. His ships could score hits on the Phantom vessels, but the damage seemed to heal itself as long as humans continued to believe in their defenders. Science officer, explain how we can destroy enemies that repair themselves through faith. The Zephyrian science officer studied his readings with growing confusion. Admiral, these vessels appear to exist in quantum superposition. They are simultaneously real and unreal. Our weapons affect them, but human belief undoes the damage. More Phantom ships continued to materialize as Earth's population embraced the impossible battle. The USS Courage appeared with experimental morale systems that boosted the fighting spirit of all nearby vessels. The USS Innovation emerged with adaptive technology that learned from each enemy attack and developed new countermeasures. Captain Pete Adams led his Ghost fighter squadron through the Zephyrian fleet like avenging spirits. His pilots had all died testing experimental aircraft, but now they flew with skills unconstrained by physical limitations. Ghost Squadron to all fighters. Show these aliens what human pilots can do when they're not worried about G-forces or life support. The Phantom fighters dove through enemy formations with impossible maneuvers. They could phase through enemy fire and strike from angles that existed only in three-dimensional imagination. Pete's squadron destroyed twice their number in enemy fighters while taking no losses themselves. Chief Petty Officer Lisa Chang monitored the energy patterns from her sensor station. Admiral, I'm detecting new quantum signatures appearing all over the battlefield. It looks like individual pieces of canceled projects are manifesting as separate entities. On the main screen, Kate could see experimental weapons and defense systems appearing around the Phantom ships. Prototype shields materialized to protect damaged vessels. Theoretical weapon systems emerged to provide additional firepower. Each piece of technology was born from the mind of someone who had believed it could work. Engineer Marcus. Wells watched from his retirement home as his armor-plating design protected the USS Liberty from a concentrated Zephyrian assault. The alien energy beam struck the theoretical armor and dissipated harmlessly. Marcus had calculated those deflection angles 40 years ago, but never seen them tested. Now his mathematics were saving lives on a cosmic scale. Professor Helen Cruz observed from her laboratory as her quantum tunneling equations allowed the USS Horizon to appear inside enemy formations. The ship materialized behind Zephyrian lines and struck at their most vulnerable systems before phasing back to safety. Her dismissed theories were proving themselves in the most dramatic way possible. The Phantom Fleet began to coordinate their attacks with increasing effectiveness. Each ship shared the collective knowledge of every human who had ever dreamed of space warfare. They knew enemy weaknesses that had never been discovered and employed tactics that existed only in theoretical war games. Commander Alex Stone appeared on the bridge of the USS Liberty as solid as any living person. The quantum field around the ship had stabilized enough to give him near physical form. All vessels prepare for final assault on the Zephyrian flagship. Time to show them that human dreams don't surrender. The Ghost Fleet formed a massive attack formation that existed in 4 dimensions simultaneously. They could strike from angles that normal ships could never achieve. The USS Thunder charged its experimental lightning weapons while the USS Strike Force prepared its theoretical plasma cannons. Dr. Peterson watched her instruments spike beyond all measurement. "Admiral, the quantum field is reaching critical stability. If this continues, these phantom ships might become permanently real." The Zephyrian flagship tried to retreat, but found itself surrounded by enemies that could appear anywhere at will. Admiral Kethvar realized his fleet faced defeat at the hands of opponents that should not exist. "All ships, emergency hyperspace jump. We cannot win against an enemy that fights with the power of pure imagination." But the Phantom Fleet was ready for their escape attempt. The USS Horizon had been monitoring Zephyrian hyperspace technology and predicted their jump coordinates. Ghost ships appeared at every possible exit point, blocking the alien retreat. The impossible battle reached its climax as humanity's greatest dreams faced their ultimate test against an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy. The outcome would determine whether human imagination was powerful enough to reshape reality itself. The Zephyrian fleet found themselves trapped in a cage made of human dreams. Every escape route was blocked by phantom ships that materialized faster than thought itself. Admiral Kethvar watched his tactical display with growing desperation as his options disappeared one by one. "Science officer, report on hyperspace jump capabilities," Kethvar ordered. "Admiral, the human phantom vessels are somehow predicting our jump coordinates. They appear at every exit point before we can engage our drives. It is as if they know our technology better than we do," the science officer replied with confusion in his voice. The USS Horizon phased through the center of the Zephyrian formation like a ghost passing through walls. Professor Helen Cruz's quantum tunneling theories allowed the ship to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Captain Diana Foster commanded the vessel with knowledge that came from studying alien technology for decades in theoretical scenarios. "Liberty, this is Horizon," Diana's voice carried across the quantum communication network. "We've analyzed their hyperspace drives completely. I'm transmitting jump interdiction coordinates to all phantom vessels." Commander Alex Stone received the data and smiled with grim satisfaction. "Received, Horizon. All ships implement jump interdiction pattern Omega. Nobody leaves until we're finished with them." The Phantom Fleet moved with coordination that exceeded anything possible with normal ships. They shared consciousness through quantum entanglement, allowing instant communication and perfect tactical harmony. Each vessel knew what the others would do before they did it. Admiral Kate Morrison watched from Titan's Edge as the impossible battle reached its peak. The Zephyrian fleet was completely surrounded and taking heavy casualties. "Dr. Peterson, are the phantom ships still gaining solidity?" Amy checked her instruments and nodded. "Yes, Admiral. Human belief is reaching critical mass. I estimate the phantom fleet will achieve permanent physical existence within the next hour." On Earth, the battle was creating unprecedented unity among humanity. People who had never met were focusing their thoughts on the same goal. Engineers pulled out old project files and remembered designs they thought were lost forever. Military historians studied theoretical battle plans that were now being executed in real time. General Frank Miller watched from his command center in Colorado Springs. He had designed the tactical coordination protocols for the USS Liberty before the project was canceled. Now his strategies were being used to outmaneuver an alien fleet that had conquered dozens of worlds. "Sergeant Davis, are our real ships in position to support the Phantom Fleet?" "Yes, sir. All available vessels are moving to backup positions. If the Phantom ships need assistance, we're ready to help," Sergeant Davis replied. The USS Strike Force emerged from quantum phase directly above the Zephyrian flagship. Captain Mike Roberts had designed the ship's experimental plasma weapons before his death in a testing accident. Now he commanded those same weapons with deadly precision. Target their command section. Time to end this invasion before it really starts. Theoretical plasma cannons that had never been built fired with the fury of human determination. The energy beams struck the alien flagship with devastating force. Shields that could withstand normal weapons collapsed instantly under the assault of weaponry that existed outside normal physics. Chief Engineer Zoe Parker worked frantically at her quantum control station aboard the USS Liberty. Alex, I'm reading massive power fluctuations in the enemy flagship. Their reactor containment is failing. The Zephyrian flagship began to break apart under the combined assault of multiple Phantom vessels. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as systems failed one after another. Admiral Kethavar realized his invasion was doomed to failure. All ships, scatter formation. Fight your way out individually. The humans have defeated us with weapons that should not exist. Kethavar ordered over the fleet communication system. But the Phantom ships were everywhere at once. The USS Defender blocked escape routes with theoretical armor that could withstand any weapon. The USS Thunder struck with lightning weapons that moved at the speed of thought. The USS Innovation adapted to every Zephyrian tactic before it could be fully implemented. Colonel Pete Adams led his Ghost Fighter squadron in the final assault on the enemy flagship. His pilots flew through the alien ship's internal corridors, their Phantom fighters phasing through hull plating to strike at critical systems from inside. Ghost Squadron, target their reactor core. Let's give them a fireworks show they'll never forget. The Phantom fighters dove into the heart of the Zephyrian flagship. Their weapons existed in quantum superposition, allowing them to damage internal systems without being affected by hull armor. Explosions began to cascade through the massive alien vessel. Dr. Amy Peterson monitored the quantum field fluctuations as the battle reached its climax. Admiral, the Phantom ships are drawing massive amounts of energy from human collective consciousness. The entire population of Earth is focused on this battle. Engineer Marcus Wells watched from his home as his armor design protected the USS Liberty from a desperate Zephyrian counterattack. The alien energy weapon struck his theoretical plating and scattered harmlessly into space. 40 years of calculations were proving themselves in the most dramatic test possible. Professor Helen Cruz observed her, quantum equations saving lives as the USS Horizon evacuated. The crew of a damaged real human ship. The Phantom vessel phased the rescue ship to safety before returning to the battle. Her dismissed theories were now protecting real people in impossible situations. The Zephyrian flagship exploded in a burst of light that could be seen from Earth's surface. Admiral Kethavar and his command staff died in the blast, their invasion plans destroyed along with their ship. The remaining alien vessels found themselves leaderless and surrounded by enemies that fought with the power of pure human imagination. Commander Alex Stone appeared on every communication channel in the Zephyrian fleet. His image was now solid enough to seem completely real. Zephyrian fleet, this is Commander Stone of the USS Liberty. Your invasion has failed. Surrender now and we will allow you to return to your territory. Continue fighting and we will destroy every ship in your fleet. The Phantom fleet held perfect formation around the surviving enemy vessels. Each ghost ship glowed with the combined will of billions of humans who refused to accept defeat. The Zephyrians had brought superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but they had not counted on facing an enemy that could turn dreams into reality. The aliens began to lower their weapons and signal surrender. They had learned that some opponents could not be defeated through conventional means. Human imagination had proven itself more powerful than any weapon they possessed. Victory belonged to the species that dared to dream of better ships than they could build. The last Zephyrian ships lowered their weapons and sent surrender signals across all communication channels. The alien fleet that had come to conquer Earth now floated helplessly in space, surrounded by Phantom vessels that glowed with the power of human dreams made real. Commander Alex Stone appeared on the main screen of Titan's Edge one final time. His ghostly form seemed more solid than ever before, sustained by the collective belief of billions of humans who had witnessed the impossible victory. Admiral Morrison, this is the USS Liberty reporting mission accomplished. Admiral Kate Morrison felt tears forming in her eyes as she looked at her old friend. Alex had been dead for 20 years, but his sacrifice had somehow led to humanity's greatest triumph. Alex, will we see you in the Phantom fleet again if we need you? The Ghost Commander smiled with the same warmth Kate remembered from their academy days. Admiral, we never really went away. Every time someone designed something better, Every time someone refuses to give up on an impossible dream, we're there in the quantum field waiting. Humanity's greatest strength isn't what you've already built, it's what you never stop imagining you could build. The phantom ships began to fade as the immediate threat passed. One by one, the vessels that had saved Earth returned to the realm of dreams and possibility from which they had emerged. The USS Thunder dissolved into sparks of light. The USS Defender became transparent and vanished. The USS Horizon phased out of normal reality for the last time. Dr. Amy Peterson watched her instruments as the quantum signatures grew weaker. Admiral, the Phantom Fleet is dispersing, but I'm reading permanent changes in the quantum field around Earth. The boundary between imagination and reality has been altered forever. Chief Petty Officer Lisa Chang monitored the energy readings as the last ghost ships disappeared. Ma'am, the USS Liberty is the final vessel remaining. Commander Stone is maintaining just enough quantum coherence for one last message. Alex Stone's image flickered, but his voice remained clear. Kate, tell humanity that their dreams have power beyond anything they can imagine. The ships that were never built will always be ready to battle for the species that dared to dream them into existence. The USS Liberty faded away like morning mist, leaving only empty space and the memory of impossible victory. The Phantom Fleet was gone, but their legacy would reshape human civilization forever. Captain Ryan Torres checked his tactical display and shook his head in amazement. Admiral, the surviving Zephyrian ships are requesting permission to depart. They're offering a non-aggression treaty and promising never to return to human space. Kate considered the request for a moment. Grant them safe passage, Captain. They've learned that humanity cannot be conquered by conventional means. The defeated alien fleet limped away from Earth, their ships badly damaged and their confidence completely broken. They would carry word back to the Zephyrian Empire that humans possessed weapons beyond conventional understanding. The story of ships that existed only in dreams would become a legend that would keep other potential invaders away for generations. In the days following the battle, humanity began to change in fundamental ways. The designs for Project Excalibur were retrieved from government archives. The USS Liberty, no longer a phantom, began construction. In the orbital shipyards above Mars, engineers who had worked on the original project came out of retirement to oversee the building of their dream. Ship. Dr. Robert Kim traveled from Seoul to the Mars construction facility to personally supervise the installation of his sensor systems. The equipment that had existed only in theory was now being manufactured with improvements based on what the Phantom version had accomplished during the battle. Colonel Sarah Martinez took command of the real USS Defender project as it moved from canceled program to highest priority construction. Her defensive systems would protect the growing human fleet from any future threats. Chief Engineer Zoe Parker, very much alive and no longer a ghost, stood in the construction bay watching the first hull plates of the actual USS Liberty being assembled. You know, she said to the shipyard supervisor, I think we're going to build her even better than we dreamed. Professor Helen Cruz found herself appointed as head of the new Quantum Defense Initiative. Her theories about reality manipulation through collective consciousness became the foundation for humanity's most advanced research programs. Universities around the world began studying the phantom ship phenomenon to understand how human belief could literally reshape physics. Engineer Marcus Wells came out of retirement to oversee the armor production for the new fleet. His theoretical designs were now being manufactured in factories across the solar system. At age 75, he finally saw his life's work protecting real ships and real people. Admiral Kate Morrison received promotion to Fleet Admiral and command of all human space forces. Her first order was to establish the Phantom Ship Memorial, honoring all the engineers and designers whose canceled projects had saved humanity when it mattered most. The Phantom Fleet proved that our greatest weapon is not what we have built, but what we dare to imagine building, Kate said during the memorial dedication ceremony. Every canceled project, every theoretical design, every impossible dream is a potential defender waiting for the moment when belief becomes reality. 6 months later, when Zephyrian reinforcements arrived expecting to find Earth defenseless, they discovered something far different. The USS Liberty led a fleet of impossible ships made possible, crewed by the same dreamers who had once thought them into existence. The real vessels were even more powerful than their phantom predecessors. The second invasion lasted only 3 hours before the aliens retreated again. Word spread throughout the galaxy that humanity possessed the ability to turn imagination into devastating reality. Other species began to study human psychology, trying to understand how dreams could become weapons. But humanity kept building and dreaming. Each new ship design pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. The quantum field around Earth remained permanently altered, ready to manifest new defenders whenever the need arose. The war was far from over, but humanity had learned its most important lesson. Sometimes the most powerful weapons are the ones that exist only in the realm of what could be. Waiting patiently for the moment when belief becomes reality, and dreams take the field of battle to protect those who dare to dream them. In the depths of space, in the quantum foam that underlies all existence, the echo of human imagination continued to resonate. The ships that were never built remained ready to battle for the species that proved dreams could conquer any enemy foolish enough to threaten the dreamers.